Hello everyone, hope you're well. I'm doing a Rare Friday video today. I thought I'd cover off the fact that I went to the Diverse Minds event with Kevin yesterday. It was a gala put on by SAP Technologies. It was very, very fun. Before I get into the details of the night, I did record a little bit early on, I think after about an hour of being there. So I'm going to cut to me talking at the event, and then I'll cut back and just cover the rest of the night's highlights. And also today we went and had our paediatrician visit where we talked about the diagnosis process. So I'll give it an update on that. It's quite a big one. So I'll see you after the clip. I'm having a real Sheepdog says moment here. I've come to this event with Kevin, bought a tuxedo, bought nice clothes for it all, and brought a belt because the trousers are a bit loose. And the problem I've got now is there's no belt rungs on the trousers. So I spent the first hour walking around pulling my trousers up every 5 seconds. Now I've just gone and got my belt out and just tied it around my waist as though it's connected to anything. At the moment it's tight enough that it will hold them off, but this is mortifying. Like, everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. I did a National Autistic Society virtual reality headset thing where it shows you what it's like to be autistic and to be out and about at an event where, you know, out and about shopping basically, and all the noises and colours that overstimulate you and send you into a meltdown. I got to admit, while I was watching it, I did almost cry. I kind of felt really, I don't know, it just was a bit overwhelming seeing what Ollie must experience when he gets overwhelmed, when he descends into, you know, going a bit wild or whatever it is, you know, getting upset, running, trying to avoid the situation. I feel like it was a good experience to see. I felt like I was sobbing a bit. I was kind of going while the headset was on, so I don't know who was actually looking at me. That was very awkward because I can only see what was on the video. I know that Kev watched it and he's very straight-faced, so yeah, I'm glad I've come. I've already experienced that. I've seen David Walliams setting up, I saw Paloma Faith setting up. I just walked past their dressing rooms while I was trying to find a belt. Don't assume that all trousers take belts. That's my lesson for the day. Buy some suspenders. I'm mortified, but I'm going to go out and do some filming with Kev now, and hopefully the rest of the night will be fun. Now I've tied a belt around my waist. Fingers crossed. Bye. So the first hour of the event was mortifying because I was basically wandering around while they were telling Kev what he needed to do and where he needed to be, and I was just one hand in my pocket, holding my trousers up, wandering around. Every time we went upstairs, I was having to hold on to them. I felt really ridiculous, and I mentioned it to Kev, so he was obviously giggling away at me because he knew. I imagine it was glaringly obvious to people that were walking around that I was having a problem. Once I went and got my belt and just tied it round really tight, it was fine. It might as well have been, you know, attached to the trousers. It was all good. I was able to relax then. So I think you kind of saw me on that video. After I was so stressed, I was so wound up, thinking this is the whole night ruined if I can't go anywhere and have to basically stay in my seat or whatever. But it was great fun. I mean, before we went in, we were just in our normal clothes and we were going about London. We stopped at Tower Hill. I did a video with Kev about the process so far, how the system's been. I'm hoping that I made some good points on that about how sort of difficult it's been and how uninformed we feel really going through it all. But we had a very surreal moment where a security guard came over to ask us not to film the tower, and then said they'd actually only come over because they watched Kev's Football Manager videos and recognised him and wanted to say hello. So that was a brilliant moment, because I was going to ask Kev if he gets many people out and about just tapping him up and saying hello, because I've only ever witnessed it at events and round maybe Peterborough. But yeah, it happens. He was just randomly in London outside a building, and someone came up to him, so that's pretty cool. There's a good place to aspire to be at in terms of like infamy. So yeah, that was cool. We caught up a lot. We talked a lot about the whole thing. I was asking questions. It's funny because obviously before all of this kind of kicked off in our lives, my conversations with Kev were always about football, gaming, our podcasts, our YouTube stuff, whatever we were doing, our random silliness. We'd just go on adventures and stuff. And we were having an adventure. It was great, but a lot of it was talking about serious grown-up stuff. We laughed about the fact that when we started doing Best Thing From 10 years ago, it was all about us eating meat and drinking beer and going to football stadiums, and he's given up drinking completely and I've given up meat completely. So it's like, between the two of us, our old selves would just be like, what have you become? We've only got to both go off football now, and that's it. We're nowhere near the people we were 10 years ago, and that's insane. I won't go off football unless Spurs really upset me. The event itself, see, I mentioned the virtual reality headset. I genuinely couldn't hold it in. If that had been 10 seconds longer, I'd have been crying as I came off it. At first, I thought my glasses were steamed up when I put the set on, but it showed how bad, like, how you can stop kind of seeing clearly and feeling, where your awareness kind of goes and that kind of thing. It's a very interesting clip. I feel like it's the sort of thing that they could put it on before a film at a cinema in a dark room, have that come on the screen, and it'll blow a lot of minds. It's a lot of it's a lot of clarity for someone like me to think, right, I know what's happening. I know it's not the same for all people, and it's a bit different for different. It's gonna Ollie's experience isn't gonna be identical to that, but it is interesting seeing it. And they had the little boy at the end say, "I'm not naughty, I'm autistic," and I just, that was like the killer. I just thought, I'm lucky I'm a man of steel that I managed to hold on, and not start weeping at that point. But that was the kind of the theme of the night, was just wanting to cry at every point. They brought out this brilliant child from Chicago. He could play the piano, and he did this amazing set on the piano. We couldn't clap because obviously, he'd been conscious of his sensory needs, so everyone was doing this instead. And he came out and he bowed a few times. He sat down and played, and then he was doing this amazing talk. And I really like. I'm going to look on YouTube and I want to show it to Claire and I want to show it to Ollie, because he said, and this is, bless him, he was like 10, and he said, people say I'm disabled. He said, but I want to ask you, how many people were moved by what I did on the piano just now? And everyone put their hands up. And he said, now, I moved a room full of people, with something that I can only do that well because I'm autistic. He said, that's not a disability, that's a superpower. He said, I've just moved an entire room of people with an amazing ability. He said, like, people with autism can do things really well and deeper and harder and better than many, neurotypical people can. And it was just brilliant hearing him say it and put the point out there. And then he was adorable because the guy who was hosting it wanted to kind of carry on talking and asking questions, and he said, "Oh, one more thing," and he started talking about how his dad watched him play and gave him an hour a day to train and all of this, and he was all delighted. And then he took the guy's seat and wiggled him off of it, and everyone was like giggling because he was so cute and funny. And he just did a lot of really powerful stuff about how he just doesn't feel like he's held back, and nor should he, and how he just feels that it's the making of him, and he's really proud of himself. And I thought, good for him, and that's exactly how I need Ollie to feel, and I want Ollie to feel. I want Ollie to feel that kind of strength and confidence in himself, because they then had Anne Hegarty come on. They had David Walliams come on and do some jokes, which were all right. And then they had Anne Hegarty come out and talk. The lady who is on The Chase and did I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. And I think she was diagnosed as an adult. She didn't realise she was autistic, perhaps, if I understand the story right. I can't remember. But she was talking about how, again, she doesn't feel like it's something that she lives with. It's something that defines you. She is that person. You can't separate her from it and all of that. And it was interesting hearing her perspective. It was stuff that I generally knew or believed anyway, I guess just from awareness. But it was really cool hearing her talk and saying that people often try and say, "Oh, you don't have to do this," and she's like, "I want to do it." Like, "Oh, what's the problem?" And she was talking about a lot of things about her life, and then she was saying, "But there's also lots of times where she doesn't want to show people those things, or she doesn't want to get involved in things, or she doesn't want to help with certain tasks because she feels she'll ruin them and mess them up and that kind of thing." And it was just interesting hearing her perspectives and hearing from people who are autistic about their life experiences. I mentioned we saw David Walliams. He did a couple of generic business corporate jokes. Paloma Faith came out and sang, and that was when we left, basically, because I don't know what it is. I don't like. She came out in this massive dress, acting all like, I don't know. It felt a little bit like, I am the queen. I am here to give a performance, and I just felt a little bit like maybe that was me. Maybe I misread that. I felt like that kind of act from people bothers me. I don't really like divas. I don't really, if anyone wants to try and be a diva with me, I don't really appreciate it. Which is why I'm looking forward to Kev getting mega big. When he gets to like 500,000 subscribers, 1,000,000 subscribers, I'm going to be like, you ain't a diva, mate. Like, it's not happening. Hopefully one day I'll be at the millions and I'll be going, yeah, I'm a diva. I want red M&Ms. I want red Skittles or whatever. But no, I don't. I don't like that. I don't like it. And we left about 10 minutes after she started singing, because we needed to catch our train home. It's quite funny actually that we realised when we were at Circle Line that we weren't going to get the train. It was like we had 10 minutes to get there, and it was a 15-minute journey. And when we got across to it, there was a train where our train would have been, and so we ran to it, and the police were dragging off these two people who don't know what they'd done wrong, but it meant the train had been delayed. Exactly, we basically got on, and it as we sat down, it pulled away, and we were like, I don't know what crime they committed. I hope it wasn't too bad, but thanks for doing it. It really made our journey home like 2 hours quicker. But no, it was a great experience. I feel like I learned a lot. As most of you will know, there are resources and there is effort you can put into reading things, but there's only so far they can go. And I feel very lucky that I've got to go to an event like this, because it's just different. It was just, I got to put on a headset and experience something that they've made with people, autistic people who know what it's like, and they've agreed that's what it's like. And they've shown us like how an office could be set out to be autism friendly, and a quiet space that people could sit in. And they showed us the artwork that autistic people can have done, and the music they can do, and that kind of thing. And it's like, it felt really empowering. And I thought, again, I wish Ollie was old enough that he could have seen it himself. But it was eye opening. It was good. So then today I've had the day off because we took Ollie to his paediatrician meeting. These have always been a bit difficult because I always feel like we don't know what's happening afterwards, or where we are, or how far we are. I remember saying to somebody, we've just had this done, and they're like, you're not even into the start of the process. Like, that's, I thought we were 6 months in, 12 months in, and they're like, you haven't even started. But we have now, obviously. And where we are at the moment is they asked me, I fudged it a little bit. They asked me how I felt, had I read the ADHD stuff and how I felt about it. And I said, I've read it, I still don't feel like it's quite right. So then she spent 10 minutes going through how it definitely was. And, well, she went through and said, these are your answers, and these show that I think the normal number score was 71, and he was scoring a bit higher than that. I want to say like 80, but I don't know if it was that high. She said, so it's somewhat over. It's a little bit over. She sort of said it's not conclusively over. She said the school's results were lower. She said my results had no positive or negative bias, apparently. I don't know what that means. It's like a score they applied to it. Whereas they said the schools had a slightly negative slant. I don't know, again, what that means. I'm not saying that they've been negative or done anything wrong. She just said that's how they weight it. So I said, well, to be fair, he has changed a lot since we filled that in. Things are evolving constantly. So I sort of mentioned off the cuff that we probably would all do them a little bit differently now. So she said, well, why don't you do one now and hand it in, and I'll send one to the school. So we've got one to give to the school, and we'll give them back. I said to her, is this going to delay things further? And she said no. She showed me the AQ test results and the bits and pieces they'd looked at and whatever reviews they'd done. And I mean, she only showed me on a screen quickly. I wish I'd taken a picture of it, because it showed that it basically had the words "very likely" in big capital letters under the likelihood of ASD diagnosis. And I thought, okay, interesting. And she said so there was an autism index. I don't know what that means. I need to Google it. It could be completely irrelevant, but it was like 111 or something. I think it was 111. They had another high number next to that. And I just thought, okay. And she said, yeah, definitely, it's showing significant signs of autism. She basically said to me that she feels, because I when we went in, I thought she was saying he's definitely got ADHD and like maybe autism. And then when we were talking, like, it got me a bit like, but I think that they interlap so much, you're maybe missing some bits. I'm like, because she's often ignored some of the bits I've said, or at least not shown she understood them. But then when we got into the weeds of it and she was talking through it, she basically said to me that she's definitely saying, that he is autistic. She is currently trying to work out whether he is autistic with ADHD or whether he is simply autistic on its own. So the difference is basically whether. So this is how she put it. So if this is wrong, like, forgive me for, I'm just reiterating how I understood what she said. She said if he is autistic, then the behavioural and general sort of issues he'll have day to day can generally be supported with techniques and support and putting the right things in place to help him through the day. Whereas if it's autism and ADHD, he may find that the help and support and things in place don't work as well as they could without further support of like medication or something like that. So she was sort of saying she wants to just decide and figure out how much of the overlap is autism and how much of the overlap is ADHD, and then once they've got that cleared, they can say definitively, you know, he is autistic with this or autistic without that. But that was interesting because she then said, I said, well, okay, so when do we have the ADOS clinic test? And she said, well, actually, she wants to try and avoid it altogether. She said what she wants to do is she put in for a social communication clinic type thing from the speech therapist, which I hadn't really realised this is what she meant when she explained it before, but she said they're supposed to fill in these forms and do this analysis, and the one they did before, they just put not enough information or something like that, or just didn't fill in a load of boxes. So when she got it back from them, she said it was useless, it didn't help. She said she can do her one, but she needs them to do their one, and if they do a good one and it matches her one, which she feels would already say that he is autistic, then the two of them together will be enough to say, yes, you know, this is a diagnosis, it's official, let's crack on. And if that is the case, then we would have a diagnosis by August, because she said it takes about 8 weeks for the speech and language team to do theirs. It'll take her 6 to 8 weeks to do hers, allow for a bit of delay or whatever. So I kind of just vaguely worked out it'd be mid-August, which I'd be quite happy with if that's how long we're waiting and we get to that point and we've got an official, you know, rubber stamp on it all. I mean, I feel like unofficially she showed me a piece of paper that says he's very likely, you know, autistic, you know, and somewhat plausibly with ADHD. I asked if I could tell the school that so that they can start thinking about these things. She said, yeah, by all means, and she'll be putting it in a letter. It feels like we've basically had an unofficial, diagnosis. It's just at this point we're kind of figuring out from the data that they collect or whatever they do, whether it is, you know, well, I asked if there was like a, because I feel like this has changed even in the stuff I'm reading. I understood it that you would be told he is, you know, X level of autism. You know, that's what we were kind of expecting. But then yesterday I kind of learned again from people like Anne Hegarty talking that it is a spectrum that you can go up and down on yourself day to day, which I knew, but I hadn't really, not all, I can't think of the right way to put it, not all of the things I'd read had kind of updated in my brain to match that. So I said to her, are we then going to look at, you know, how severe or what we need to manage? She said, well, once he's diagnosed, it's diagnosed. It's from there, it's just figuring out what support he needs and helping him. Because I was saying, well, we then need to come back for further assessments and further, you know, whatever. And she said, no, that's it. And I was like, okay, that makes sense, because then I guess that is it. Everyone's so different. It is, go and talk to the school, go and talk to whatever there is out there that we need to talk to. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm excited in a bizarre way. I don't know if that's the right word for it. I felt a bit like Ollie was just there. He didn't rest easily in the meeting. He was all calm. He went into the waiting room. He got excited because they had a Connect 4 machine thing, that like toy, and emptied all the coins over the floor, and he had to help me pick them up. He didn't mean to do it, I think. He just got a bit carried away. And then I took him into the doctor's room, and they had 2 toys set out, and he just ran to them, was playing with them, and wouldn't sit still, bless him. And I think it was just because it was all a bit much. You know, she seemed fine with it. She seemed to understand, but I always panic a bit that listen, I thought she might want to talk to him more and stuff like that, but she wanted to talk to us, really. But no, it feels like a big milestone day, really. I asked her what happened. Like, I know I mentioned a minute ago what happens next, but she did just say we're entirely beholden to what the speech and language team do. I'm tempted to ring them and say, can you please do a detailed effort on this, because it would really, really do us a favour. I don't know whether that's the right thing to do. I don't know. I just want to say to him, look, everything hinges on this. Could you do it? She said if they don't do it and we have to just go for the clinic, then that is a year after she puts us in for it, and she put us in for it at the end of last year officially. So she said, so I said to her, so basically we're looking at either August or January, so I can kind of live with struggling on till January to get that. It doesn't affect the EHCP, as we know. I mentioned to her that we'd applied for that. I know that is mid-August that we get that again. So in the ideal perfect scenario, we could reach the sort of my birthday, actually, 21st of August. We could reach 21st of August and we could have the official diagnosis on paper, and we could have the official EHCP on paper, and we could be saying, right, this is what we need to do. School, can you do it? Do we need to find another one? And we could be away from there, and September could be starting either in a new place or in a new situation, and this could all be behind us, and then that would be amazing. I can just go back to doing vlogs about my daily nonsense, like forgetting my belt and stuff, and not feeling like I'm constantly filling your faces with my struggles with the system, trying to do what's right for Ollie. But he's been very happy today. It's funny what he listens to. We were trying to fill out the Connors 3 quiz test, and it asked things like, is he good at making friends? And I said yes he was, and he misheard me and said yes I am, and I was like, oh, you're listening, are you? And then there's another question about something and he answered that, and I thought, bless him, like, it's not the sort of test you really want to be doing. We didn't have a choice, but we had to do it there and then. But it was cute that he was seemingly so busy but completely paying attention to everything that's going on. I think he was exactly the same in the doctor's office. He was playing with his screwdriver and everything that he'd picked up off this toy thing that he was playing on, and then he'd respond to a question or he'd correct me or whatever, and it's just interesting that he was completely aware. It's just a lot going on for him. Anyway, it's been a long video. If you haven't already seen it, I think Kev's put it out by now. There's the video coming out or out already of me and him talking, and me at the event. I was there as his cameraman, but I was in the toilet filming my video when I was supposed to be out filming his bit, because I'd got my belt and sorted myself out and was having a bit of a panic. And when I came out and I was like, I'm all sorted now, it's like, we don't need you anymore. You might as well go home. So we just went and sat and ate our food and everything. But yeah, it's been a weird 24 hours, but I feel like a very, very positive one. And hopefully, yeah, this is it. This is the start of getting Ollie what he needs, and kind of being able to just crack on and be a family that knows where they are and what they're doing and how we stand. It'll be great. I'm really feeling the hope at the moment, and that's cool. Thanks for watching. Any questions, any help I can give, obviously let me know. Put it in the comments. If you have any bits that don't make sense or whatever, just let me know, and I'll be happy to help. Cheers. Speak soon.